ॐ विश्वं दर्पणदृश्यमाननगरी तुल्यन्निजान्तर्गतं पश्यन्नात्मनि मायया बहिरिवोद्भूतं यथा निद्रया यः साक्षात् कुरुते प्रबोधसमये स्वात्मानमेवाद्वयं तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये बीजस्यान्तरिवाङ्कुरो जगदिदं प्राङ्निर्विकल्पं पुनः मायाकल्पितदेशकालकलना वैचित्र्यचित्रीकृतं मायावीव विजृम्भयत्यपि महायोगी वयस्वेच्छया तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये तस्मै श्रीगुरुमूर्तये नमः इदं श्रीदक्षिणामूर्तये ॐ सहना भवतु सहनौ भुनक्तु सह वीर्यं करवावहै तेजस्विनावधीतमस्तु मा विद्विषावहै ॐ शान्तिः 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 सदाशिवसमारम्भां शङ्कराचार्यमध्यमाम् अस्मदाचार्यपर्यन्तां वन्दे गुरुपरम्पराम् ॐ. So we will be starting a second chapter of Pancadasi called Mahabhuta Viveka. Viveka, discrimination between the elements and elementals on one side, and the other side is Atma. And so the discrimination, cognitively we should separate these two things. Why we should separate, etc., we'll be seeing. And so here in this particular chapter, Vidyaranya is revealing this Brahman or Atma as a Sat principle, existence principle, pure existence principle, based on the teaching basically given in the 6th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad. You know very well, Sadeva Somidam Agra Asit Ekameva Dvitiyam. So Sat Eva Asit Idam Jagat, this world, Agre, Pura, before the creation, this world before it got created was Sat alone. So generally everywhere, most of the Upanishads doesn't talk about Atma or Brahman as a Sat. Generally they talk about as a consciousness principle. We have also seen that way only. It may be Taittiriya Upanishad, Satyam Jnanam Anantam Brahma, or it may be Aitareya Upanishad, says Prajnanam Brahma, etc. But generally we find, so the Atma, the consciousness principle, which is the witness of everything, witness of three states or witness of everything, and that is how generally it is revealed in the Upanishad. But here, in the Chandogya especially, it is revealed as an existence principle. And why they should do like this? There is a reason for that actually. So when you say Atma is Brahman, and that is consciousness. Now the problem is, the word Brahman indicates it is limitless. Word Brahman, basically, actually our consciousness is enough. Jnanam, but that is Brahman. Jnanam Brahma, Prajnanam Brahma. Why? Because it is limitless. So consciousness is limitless. Now that we don't appreciate. We are not able to appreciate consciousness everywhere. Like right now in front of me this is a computer. There is a wall. There is a window. How can I say, consciousness which is all pervading, pervades everything. And most of the things in the creation you find inert. And so to appreciate consciousness as all pervading principle is very difficult in the world. And therefore, mostly we can, whenever you find some living being, then you say, yeah, this is a conscious being, and therefore the consciousness pervades it. And but other than living beings, there are majority of the things are inert things, insentient. And that also is pervaded by the Brahman because it is limitless. That is also pervaded by the consciousness because that is Brahman or limitless. And therefore, it is very difficult to appreciate a all-pervading consciousness principle or consciousness as a Brahman when you look into the creation. And the same thing, even this problem also occurs with the word Ananda also. So Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat, Anandad Deva Khalvimani Bhutani Jayante, Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. This Ananda is Brahman, it is all pervading again. And you find that, so we have to see the wall, etc., or anything. Even the window is pervaded by Anandam Brahma. This is, that itself somehow is creating a distaste in us. So, the very living being itself is not pervaded by Ananda, we feel. The consciousness, well, is also Ananda Sarupa, and that is Brahman, and so means it is pervading everything. But living beings, living beings themselves, or we don't find all the time pervaded by the Ananda. And especially human being, let's say. Human being, most of the time, he is a complaining fellow. And therefore, definitely he is not pervaded by this Ananda. So, Anando Brahmeti Vyajanat. This Ananda, which is a Brahman, which is all pervading principle in the creation, pervading everything, is very, very difficult to appreciate. And that is how, so Brahman, well, it has been, the same consciousness, which is nothing but even Sat. Chit is Sat, we know very well. And I am going to explain you how it is Sat. But even Vidyaranya is going to do the Viveka. So, well, the Brahman pervades the entire creation in form of Sat. That he is going to do. But we will do on our own way. So this, so this is how now here in this, especially in this chapter, that is how the Vidyaranya takes it as a Sat principle. He is going to do the analysis of this particular Vakya of a Chandogya. Sat eva asit agre. Sadeva Somya idamagra asit. Somya means he is, he is a teacher, Uddalaka, calls his son, and he's in a very unique name called Somya. Somya means a good looking one. So Sadeva Somya idamagra asit. Oh dear, well, this entire creation which you are experiencing in form of the sound, taste and everything, form, colors, everything, that creation, that the Jagat, this world, before it got created, was Paramatma alone, was Sat alone, was Brahman alone. That is how, so he is going to analyze everything, what is Sat and what is Idam and what is Jagat, what is Pura. All the words of that mantra of the Chandogya is going to be explained. And you know very well, even in this section itself, well, the Mahavakya, very well known Mahavakya also is revealed for Shvetaketu by Uddalaka. And that is Tattvamasi, etc. That also you know very well. And so that Sat Paramatma, that Brahman is you. That's how it is. Tat means that. That means what? Which has been described before. And what has been described before? Brahman has been described. In which form? Sat. Existence principle. So, that Sat which is Brahman, which was, this creation which was nothing in the form of Sat, before it got created. Well, that Sat Brahman is you, Tattvamasi. And therefore you are Brahman, etc. That is how it has been, even the Mahavakya also has been revealed there. So Vidyaranya is going to discuss this Sat principle based on this 6th chapter of the Chandogya Upanishad. And that Sat is Brahman, Sat pervades. This is simple to understand. Whether you are able to appreciate consciousness pervades the creation or not, well, that is a different issue. Whether you are able to appreciate the Ananda pervades the creation or not, different issue. But this you cannot negate. Existence pervades the entire creation, and therefore existence or Sat is Brahman is not a difficult thing at all to appreciate, because whatever is there, everywhere you find you have to add is. Start with the space. Space is, time is, and Vayu is, everything is. In fact, senses are, let's say the eyes are, ears are, thought is, everything, and therefore the smell is, taste is, this is. So, is principle, existence principle pervades everything, well, that is not a difficult job. You are not able to say non-existence at all. When you see the creation, you are appreciating the whole creation in form of existence. And therefore, existence is all pervading. Existence is Brahman. Sat is Brahman. That is beyond contradiction. And so, and it's a very important aspect of a Brahma Vidya that, we appreciate the Atma in form of a Sat, very existence principle. And and then now let's go into this consciousness principle, which is Sat. Consciousness alone is Sat. And so Chit is Sat, etc. Well, I will bring to your memory what we have done in the first chapter. If you remember, we have proved very easily that Atma, the I, is Satchidananda, right? And for that, what we did, we took all the three states of experiences, you know very well. And the first state of experience is Jagrata Avastha. And in Jagrata Avastha, we have all different types of perceptions. Perceptions, in the Jagrata Avastha, varieties of the perceptions are there. Varieties are there. Each perception has how many things? And we found there are 4 things. Each perception is basically an experience. An experience is there, therefore definitely a thought is there. A object of thought also is there. And the third thing is this experience. And fourth thing is the consciousness, without which experience doesn't take place. So 4 things are there in every perception. So basically, or let us say 4 types of 4 things are there in every experience, let us say. In experience, there is a perception of a sound, perception of a color, perception of a taste, perception of a smell, right? And therefore, let's take the experience. The experience consists of 4 factors. Experience in the Jagrata Avastha. So, a waking state experience. Waking state experience, any unit of experience consists of 4 things. And that is, one is the object of perception. And then the second thing is a thought. Third thing is the perception itself. And the fourth thing is basically the consciousness. And in this particular experience, well, 3 things are variable. One is invariable. You know very well. The object of the perception varies. Accordingly, thought also varies. And so the perception definitely gets varied. And the consciousness which is there in that perception is invariable factor. And like that, there are several experiences in a waking state takes place, in which several types of perceptions are there. And basically all those perceptions are varying because of the 3 things: object of perception, thought, and the perception itself. We call it varies. And the fourth thing is this invariable principle is basically this consciousness. And therefore, during waking state, the consciousness is the only invariable factor. All the 3 are variables. Okay, this is one thing. Now go to another state, and that is a dream state. There also same perceptions are there. Dream state experience has a lot of perception. Several things we see, several things we hear, several things we smell, several things we taste also. So varieties of the perceptions are there. And therefore, let's say dream state experience, are there also a perception. Dream objects will be there. And then definitely dream thought will be there. And then dream perception definitely accordingly that also will be there. And again, consciousness should be there to experience the object, etc. So for that perception, consciousness is required. Anyway, so there also we have, like in a waking state, in dream also we have a dream state experience indicates that there are varieties of the dream perceptions, and dream objects are also varying, dream thoughts also are varying accordingly, but the consciousness which is invariably present there also. So the same consciousness which was there as an invariable factor in a waking state continues to be there even in the dream state also. So I can say undivided consciousness. It's not that the waking state consciousness is over now and now new consciousness arises for a dream state. No. So other than the consciousness which is invariably present in dream state or a waking state, that is undivided and that continues to be there in a even later in a deep sleep state also. In deep sleep state also, well, we said that there are now here also, well, deep sleep state perception. Yeah, we can take. And that's the very uniqueness of the Vidyaranya that he talked about. He said, well, there also you experience something. What we experience, ignorance we experience, and we experience a joy also in a deep sleep state. So definitely those are the objects. So, and therefore if objects are, such kind of experience takes place means the vritti should be there, thought should be there. So then, well, that thought is considered as a sukshma vritti. That we have seen there. Sukshma vritti takes place. Sukshma vritti takes place means which takes place in a karana shariram. Because subtle body, most of the part of the subtle body is resolved in a deep sleep state. Gross body is resolved. Causal body, well, which is there. So a thought occurs in a causal body. We have discussed other way also. When you experience your own thoughts in the mind, that's a sthula vritti. When you are not able to experience your thoughts of the mind, that's sukshma vritti. That is considered sukshma vritti, that is karana shariram vritti. And so sukshma vritti is there. So in a deep sleep state also thought is there. And object of thought is that ignorance or a joy. That is also there. And therefore these two things are there and therefore perception also is there. And the consciousness which is invariably present also is there. So deep sleep state also has thought, object, perception and consciousness. Four things are there, but consciousness is invariable. And so this is how, well, we... but Swamiji, there is there a variation in deep sleep state or not in perception? Yes. Because a joy also, basically, which belongs to this Karana Shariram, which is nothing but a Anandamaya Kosha, and therefore Priyamoda Pramoda Vritti is there. And that you experience also. So sometime when you get up, you are more happy. Sometime you get up, you say, well, you have not enjoyed your sleep much. So this kind of things are there. So Priyamoda Pramoda Vritti also in a subtle form, they are there. And so that also varies, So anyway, so this is how a consciousness which is present in all the three states of experience, undivided, it is present in a waking state, dream state and deep sleep state, which is invariable. So that's a one day, right? Vidyaranya discussed that way, this is for one day. Dinantare, then he said, Anyat dine. Next day also same thing. Again you get up. Again waking experiences, waking objects, waking thoughts as per the depending upon the waking objects. Well, then the perception also will vary accordingly. But Swamiji, why are we bringing the perception? Because depending upon the dream object, you have a perception. Suppose sound is there, it is a sound perception. If there is a color is there, form is there, then it's a form perception. If it is a smell, well, it is a smell perception. And that way I am considering perception also is a variable factor in every experience of a waking state or even dream state or etc. Anyway, so consciousness is invariably present in a single day in all the three states of experience. Then next day the same thing. Consciousness is present in is an invariable factor in all the again three states of experience. And that's how then he said, well, after a month or after a year or after a yuga also, after 50 years, 60 years, the consciousness will be as an invariable factor, will be there all the time, in all the states of experiences, undivided, which is present all the time. Well, waking time also varies, dream time varies, etc. In deep sleep state time gets resolved, etc. But ultimately, This consciousness, well, which is even consciousness which is beyond time, well, undivided, invariably present in all, even the time varies, but consciousness does not vary, and therefore consciousness is an invariable factor in throughout life, and that will be the same thing after even in the next life also, because, well, even a deep sleep state of consciousness is present without will having a awareness of the body, etc. Also is consciousness present, then definitely it must be present even after the prarabdha also gets over and you get a new body. Consciousness remains will be there all the time, and that is how the consciousness or chit is called sat. Sat means which is beyond time, or which is in the form of existence at all. So which is in the form of existence, and because of which all the states of experiences are possible. And so this is how chit is sat. This is one way of doing. Now let's go to the other way, how chit is sat. So you see this I, the consciousness which is self-effulgent and self-shining, is an independent thing. Which is self-shining is independent. Self-effulgent means independent. So it doesn't require, and we should understand this consciousness is independent, or I consciousness is independent. We have to understand only in one way, that it does not depend upon any means of knowledge to reveal it. That's all. We have to understand independent in this way only. So it does not require a means of knowledge to reveal it. And that is very simple to understand. Like if I ask you, are you conscious? Then you don't wait to give me an answer. And that answer is always in form of a affirmation. Yes. That shows that without operating any means of knowledge, you are able to say that I am a conscious being. That shows that to reveal consciousness, you don't require any means of knowledge. That's how it is called self-effulgent, self-shining, self-illuminating, swayam prakasha, etc. And so, to give an answer, neither you have to think, neither you have to consult anybody, neither you have to see something. Nothing is required. Immediately you say, yes, I am a conscious. And so, in fact, the very question which I ask you, are you conscious? That question itself is heard because you are conscious being. And therefore, definitely, so it is not that I think, therefore I am. Well, I am, therefore I think. And therefore, before a thought arises, I exist. And after the thought has gone, I will remain. So there is a self-effulgent being which remains when thought comes and thought goes away. So I exist. Now I am adding. Earlier I said I am a self-effulgent being. Means I don't require any means of knowledge to reveal me. And that way I am a self-effulgent, independent. Now I add also, I exist as a self-effulgent being. And therefore everything else shine after me. Existence of everything else other than the self, other than the I, got to be proven by basically the pramanas, the means of knowledge, valid means of knowledge, which are at my disposal. So existence of color is proven by eyes. Definitely, if eyes are not there, well, you cannot prove the color exists. Well, if your nose is not working, you cannot prove the smell exists. So basically, with your operation of different means of knowledge, well, you prove the existence of the respective objects. But there is one thing that need not be proven by anybody, and that is that I exist. I exist, well, definitely does not require, and I am conscious, I am effulgent, etc., does not require any means of knowledge. So all the pramanas, well, means of knowledge, sense organs, and the mind all shine after that, which we have seen in Kenopanishad also. That is how we have defined the Atma as a Shotrasya Shotram, etc. Just to indicate that, well, the means of, the ears, the eyes, everything are shining. Everything are able to, why are you calling them shining, Swamiji? Because they are able to, they are able to reveal, they are able to illumine. They are able to illumine respective objects, and therefore I have to say they are shining. And therefore, like the sun shines and therefore everything is revealed, everything is illumined. So the same way all the organs, sense organs, let's talk about first sense organs, means of knowledge. And so all sense organs shine. Well, they shine after me, I, we say, which is a self-conscious, which is self-effulgent. And definitely, so because I don't require any other means of knowledge to shine, but the sense organs definitely require a I, the consciousness, to shine them and to make them shine. So definitely, so I, the self-effulgent being, which does not require any proof of its existence or effulgence. And this self-effulgent being is Aham, I, which itself has no form, because if you say I have a form, that form shines, right? Well, you say I am a square. Let us say I have a so and so length and so width and so breadth. Means that form shines. Then definitely that form shines with the help of your mind, or let's say with your sense organs. And if you say no sense organs, then with your mind it shines. Then definitely it is not self-effulgent. It is being effulgent. It has been, that form shines because of the mind shines. But basically even the mind shines because of me. And therefore I do not have any form. Whenever you consider any form of a Atma or I, then definitely it becomes an object of knowledge. And definitely means of knowledge is involved. It may be a mind or it may be sense organ, anything. Or inference even. Any means of knowledge is involved. When you say Atma is such and such, when you say that way, Atma is a certain form, etc. And therefore, I, well, which is self-effulgent, has no form, and therefore it is limitless. We have seen many ways, but this is in brief I am telling you. I am leading myself and to all of you towards Atma alone is a Sat. The consciousness alone is a Sat. That's what I am independently right now we are doing. Of course, the whole chapter, second chapter, is a so big chapter, and he is going to prove that this consciousness is a Sat principle, existence principle. And he is going to do it through discrimination with the elements and elementals, etc. Will we see? So, well, Atma is, the I, which is self-effulgent, has no form, it is limitless. And what is limitless is called Brahman. That is what, this is a simple definition. What is Brahman? Limitless. That's all. But limitless means what? That question will come. Limitless means what? Because we have seen limitless in many ways. Limitless in dimension. Limitless in time also. These are the various dimensions of the creation. Time is one of the dimension. Place is one of the dimension. You can say, well, limitless in place. Limitless in terms of place also. Limitless in terms of time. Limitless in terms of objects, right? So, thousands and thousands, billions and trillions of objects are there, and well, some of them die and then new objects come out, and therefore object wise also there can be limitlessness. Time wise there can be limitlessness. Place wise or a space wise there can be limitlessness. And so when we say limitless, means limitless in terms of all the three. Limitless in terms of time, limitless in terms of place, limitless object wise. Means no object wise limitless means what? It is not an object. That's all. Why? Because if it is an object, it is a limited thing. If it is an object, it is a limited thing. And therefore object wise limitless means what? Basically it is not an object. It is a subject. Oh, if it is a subject, then it is not an object. Then how can it be Brahman? Correct. Very nice. Beautiful. If it is a subject, you say it is not an object. Therefore, if it is a subject, then it is not an object, then how can it be limitless? Then we say, see, this is how Vedanta is. So then we say, it is in form of subject and object. We should understand this way. There are 3 steps to arrive at the real nature of I. First thing is, it is not object. It is not object. Okay, it is not object means object of knowledge. Why should you say that? Why should you begin with that? I never take this as myself. When you see a pen, nobody takes pen as a self. And therefore, you should not put this sentence at all. No, sir. There is a object of knowledge which you have taken it as a subject. That's how we have to say. What is that? The mind, the senses, the physical body, all object of knowledge. You have taken it as a subject, and therefore the first step is to negate it as object. You are subject. You are a knower. Then, the knower becomes so small, because earlier even calling that I am a human being, I was, 5 feet 8 inches. Now you have negated it. Then only a knower can be a minute entity or what. So I, the knower, may be a very subtle entity. Well, no. Don't think that way. Basically, you pervade everything, subject and object both. Oh, but you were earlier negating. Yeah, because a particular object called body, mind, sense complex, you have taken it as a self. So, that to negate it and to increase your dimension cognitively, we say you are not this. And then then what is the dimension of the knower after negating all this? Well, then we say you pervade this body, mind, sense complex and other body, mind, sense complex also. You pervade all the objects in the creation. So it is in the form of objects also, and it is subject also. Yeah, subject means the knower also, and this known also. Both are you. How can it be? To whom you are making fool? What is subject can never be object. What is object can never be subject. How can you say now the subject, the knower, is not just knower, it pervades even all known also. So known and knower is one thing. That can never be. That can never be. What is knower is knower. Known is known. Right? This you can follow? Therefore, the third step is very crucial. Well, actually subject and object, both are non-separate from you, the consciousness. Actually, you transcend subject and object both. You are not even a subject, you are not an object. This subject and object both are basically mithya. You are in the form of this subject object, alright, but both are mithya. Not that really you are a subject or an object, etc. Basically, you pervade both. They are just a imagination. They are superimposed upon you. They are not really. Really, subject cannot be the object. Object cannot be the subject. But subject and object both are mithya, actually non-separate from the consciousness that is you. That's your real nature. You are not simply the knower. Knower and known both are superimposed upon the knowledge or consciousness. That is your real nature. And that way you pervade everything. These are the three things. Anyway, this is just by the way. So, I am who is self-effulgent and which need not be proven by anybody, well, that I exist, and therefore that I is limitless, which doesn't have any form. That's how it is Brahman, and therefore I am Atma, Brahma, etc. So I am Atman is this self, well, for which no proof is necessary, is Atma, is this aparoksha, immediate self, etc. And I have already told you aparoksha means which does not require any proof, which does not be proven, need not be proven by any means of knowledge. I, the consciousness, is aparoksha. So it doesn't require any means of knowledge to determine whether I exist or not, etc. And so this is how the self-effulgent I, the self-evident I, is limitless Brahman, and it survives time.
The flag is up.
Which page are you reading? Which page?
The first one.
Okay, I got it. He has it. Okay. Just wanted to confirm. Thank you.
Here we go. I'm going to read the first page. Don't.
So the self-effulgent, the self-evident I is limitless Brahman. It survives the time. Time shines only after. This is a very important, this is a crucial thing. Consciousness is this Sat principle, existence principle. To understand, we will have to bring time into the picture. And so, well, time shines only after I, the consciousness. Time comes and goes. The concept of time goes on changing, right? And so my mind itself got into, well, the varieties of different scales of basically time. And that is how sometimes the time hangs on and sometimes time flies, etc. You know very well. So that's the relative nature of time, basically. When you stand, Puja Swami, I used to give this example, and I like that example. Like when you stand, on a bus stop and talking to your very dear person, etc. And then you don't know, several buses come and go, but you don't know what is the time going on. And when you are alone on the bus stop, when you find that the buses, never seem to come, actually. So this is how it is. This is experienced by many of our college students. That when they stand on this is a thing. So it's a relative nature. Because mind basically projects all the time, etc. That's how a great scientist, of course, well, he said that if you want to know the relative nature of a time, relative nature means projected by the mind actually. When the mind comes, time comes, etc. So anyway, if you want to know this relative nature of time, do one thing. What? Well, stand on a hot plate. That's what they say. Stand on a hot plate for 1 minute. And just for 1 minute. And very hot plate in which even if you throw a water, it immediately evaporates. You stand on one plate, well, for 1 minute with a stopwatch in a hand. And you will understand that, why it is called a stopwatch. Because it just doesn't move. that is a thing, So, because down below there is a hot plate on which you are standing. So this is what a relative nature of a time. Basically, and the same man now, who was finding even 1 minute like 1 year on a hot plate. Now the same man, when he is talking to his some dear person, then the time acquires wings as though. And so this is a relative nature. People talk sometime on the phone to a dear person, hours and hours, and they don't even know how much time has gone. 1 hour, 2 hours, etc. Champions can talk about they talk 3 hours, 4 hours on a phone. And they just don't know where the time goes. And the same person, when he is alone in the home, he doesn't know. He says how to kill the time. Then he uses this word, how to kill the time. So that shows the mind gets into a different time scales and then it has got its own time. Actually, there is a chronological time and there is a subjective time, basically. The chronological time is, that which is involved with the motion. That is called chronological time. And the subjective time is, which is created subjectively by our own mind. Whatever be the time anyway, it shines after the I, which is limitless. Time also shines. Like the mind shines, time also shines. Everything shines after ultimately I, the limitless. And so, nothing can be away from this limitless, that is consciousness. And so, I am not bound by the time, that is relative. I am an absolute. And so, and definitely time comes and time goes. I exist even before time comes. I exist even after time leaves, etc. And therefore, I am not bound by the time. Means I am not mortal, basically. That's what it means. So, I, the consciousness, is no beginning, no end. Before beginning of everything, there must be a consciousness in form of a wearer or a conscious being, let's say. To say that an event began, and before event began, he should be there, he or she should be there, or a conscious being should be there. And that an event began and ended also means that, it's prior non-existence and should be known to that observer. And so also posterior non-existence also should be witnessed. So observer is there even the before beginning of the event and also after the event has ended. So if awareness itself, the consciousness itself has a beginning and end, then you should have, there is another witness, and that should be a consciousness to witness the beginning of this awareness or consciousness, end of this awareness or consciousness. That is an absurd thing. So we are always talking about in ultimate awareness or a consciousness which is not subject to time, not subject to beginning or end. And therefore, the consciousness which is beginningless and endless, well, that is called Sat, where even the concept of time does not exist. We have done it in Tattvabodha also. I have given you meditation also, if you remember, how the time itself we have divided into three: present, past, and future. And again, present we have divided, you know very well everything. And we have found the truth of even the time which is nothing but called present. Well, that truth of that present also is nothing but the consciousness. You can go back and refer, and we are going to analyze also further in here also. So anyway, so this is how we can see how the consciousness is Sat. So either way, either you can refer to Pancadasi chapter 1, in which we have proved the invariable consciousness, in the varieties of the experiences or perception, that is Sat, that is existence. Or else this way also you can see. Bring the time and understand that time has a relative nature, and the truth of that time, what is relative, definitely has a basis, has a essence in something which is absolute. And that is how the consciousness is a principle, is a adhisthana of the time also. Everything in the creation. There is a time when in the deep sleep state, the very concept of time dissolves with the mind, etc., and still you exist in the deep sleep state. That shows that you are timeless, etc. And that timelessness is called Sat. Here we have discussed lastly that which is even free from the beginning or end. To say anything begin, even to have a concept of beginning itself requires consciousness. You cannot otherwise talk about it. To say everything, something has ended, anything, it may be a creation, it may be phenomena, anything. When you say it has begun and it has ended, that those things are definitely based on the consciousness. Without that, you cannot say something began or something ended. And therefore, consciousness is the basis. Therefore, it doesn't have a beginning. If consciousness has a beginning, then you require another consciousness to tell that this consciousness has begun. Could you follow what I am saying? And therefore, the consciousness must be by nature which is beginningless and timeless. And that is called Sat. It doesn't have any concept of time. Beginning and end means concept of time has come, which is timeless, which is beyond the concept of time. Time, etc. comes along with the mind. Let's now read the first verse. Sadadvaitam shrutam yattat panchabhuta vivekatah bodhum shakyam tato bhuta panchakam pravivichyate. So, Vidyaranya Swamiji here introduces a subject matter. Sadadvaitam shrutam. Shrutam, when it is heard or read, where? In the Shruti. Shrutau uktam. Shrutam. Shrutau. In the Shruti it has been said or read, what? Sat Advaitam. So Chandogya talks about, here Shruti means Chandogya. Chandogya talks about this Sat, which is Advaitam. Advaitam means one without the second. That is how it has been told that Idam Jagat Sat Eva. This entire Jagat which has nothing, which is plural. Well, that is Sat alone. So that shows that this entire Jagat was Sat, and there was nothing else other than that. Ekam eva advitiyam. So advitiyam, so Vidyaranya picks up that advitiyam word from the mantra of the Chandogya Upanishad and says here Advaitam. And Sat word also is there. So this Sat, which is Advaitam, which is one without the second, well, Bodhum Shakyam, Shrutam, Shruta Uktam, which has been told in the Shruti, the Chandogya Upanishad, Bodhum Shakyam, that Sat principle, that Brahman can be understood by method, bodhum shakyam means it can be understood by shakyam, possible. It is possible to understand that. How? By a method. Which method? Panchabhuta vivekatah. So by the analysis of these panchabhutas and even bhautikas also, well, we will be able to understand this sat principle. But why should you add pancha bhautikam also? Bhautikam also. Why should you include? You can say panchabhuta viveka. Just analyze these 5 mahabhutas, and cognitively you understand that the consciousness or the existence, existence principle is present there. Why bhautika you are including? Because basically this sat is not available. Sat is available with this, not just pancha mahabhuta. This is a bhautikam. This is a elemental made up of 5 elements, right? So here sat is available. Sat is Brahman, and that Brahman which means limitless. Limitless means it pervades this also. So this is not just Pancha Mahabhuta, this is a Bhautikam. This is made up of elements. So we have to understand the existence principle which is limitless, not simply 5 gross elements or subtle elements. We have to understand the existence principle which is pervading everything. We have to understand even in the elemental world also, not just elements. That's how it has been told here. Pancha Bhuta Vivekatah means we have to consider as even Pancha, Bhautikam also we will have to take it. And so that, the existence is as though mixed up. When you say pan is, actually that isness is Brahman in this. But now how to analyze that? So by which I can cognitively understand, that isness, the sat principle is there which is pervading this. And here pervasion means, I just said that before 2 days in that class also, all pervasiveness should be understood in 2 ways. See, one is a all pervasiveness of a space. Other is a all pervasiveness of a sat or Brahman, either way. Now both are different type of pervasion. Well, space pervades a pot, space pervades a tree, space pervades the walls and everything. That's a one type of pervasion. And Brahman pervades the pot is another type of pervasion. So space pervades a pot, one type of pervasion. And Brahman pervades or existence, sat pervades the pot, another type of pervasion. So definitely, in fact, space pervades the creation, still it is not all pervasive. Whereas sat pervades the creation, it is really all pervasive. Why? Because sat being the cause of the creation pervades. Therefore, it is really all pervasive. See, the space pervades the pot, one thing. Clay pervades the pot, another thing. When space pervades the pot, definitely other than space there is a clay, right? At least earth element is there or not. Out of 5 elements, space is one element. Other 4 elements are there. Even water also is there. That's how pot remains in a bound form. So water, whatever, percentage of water, that is also there. Air pockets are there inside. Everything is there. That is not space. Otherwise, you have to say space pervades space. Why should you say pot? Why should you say? That is, if it is only one element, and then, if space is really all pervasive, then definitely you need not have to say space pervades pot. You say space pervades space. There is nothing other than space, but it is not so. And therefore, space really not pervade in entirety to a pot. There are other things, other elements other than the space. Whereas when I say clay pervades pot, it's all pervasive. Every particle, every atom in the pot, every smallest particle in the pot is clay. So it's a different type of thing. Same way, space pervades the entire creation is a one thing, and the Sat or Brahman pervades the creation is another thing. Sat or Brahman pervades the entire creation, being the cause. That is what has been revealed in Chandogya. Sadeva Some Idamagra Asit. This entire creation which you are seeing and experiencing, etc., in form of a smell, taste, etc., this entire creation was Sat alone. Well, and therefore that shows that the entire creation has come from that Sat, right? There was nothing other than that Ekam Eva Advitiyam. Before this Jagat came out, there was nothing other than the Sat. And therefore that shows that that Sat alone has come into this form. And therefore Sat is basically the cause of the entire thing. But anyway, so that is how Sat pervades everything. Anyway, so this is the first verse in which he has introduced that Bodhum Shakyam Tataha Bhuta Panchakam Pravivichyate. And therefore basically we'll have to, Sat being the even cause of this, we have to analyze how well Sat pervades this object which is made up of elements. Not just elements itself, but we have to see the elementals. We have to see the objects which are made up of elements also, because they are also pervaded by that Sat alone, because it is the cause. It is the cause of everything. And therefore it pervades this also. Not just pervade the earth which is outside. It pervades this. It pervades this. It pervades everything. So, Bhuta Panchakam, alright. Well, we will have to vivichyate. Vivichyate means, cognitively you separate it, discriminate between the elements and the Sat. That's one thing. And discrimination between elementals and Sat. That is also essential. Bhuta Bhautikam, both in fact. And now next verse. Shabdasparshau Ruparasau Gandho Bhuta Guna Ime Ekadvitrip Chatuh Pancha Guna Vyomadishu Kramat. Now, in this first section of the Chandogya Upanishad, the 6th chapter, this Guru and Shishya, as I told you, Uddalaka and Shvetaketu, that has been introduced in the 6th chapter in the beginning, and then there is a dialogue between definitely Guru Shishya, but Guru is nothing but a father, and Shishya is a son of him. And in this, this particular thing comes out, and the Uddalaka says to his son, who is a disciple, that he says that, Sadeva Sumidam Agrasit Ekameva Dvitiyam. This one Vakya, basically, this particular Vakya is, Vidyaranya is analyzing from verse number 2 to verse number 46. So this one Vakya is analyzed here. And Upanishad says, before creation, nothing was there other than the Sat. Nothing means nothing, including, all this space, time, everything, that came later, nothing was there. And this is, we are able to appreciate now because of the study of, several years, that space and time, everything is a part of the creation. So, objects were certainly not available, because objects also can exist in the space alone. So, and therefore, everything, just one cannot talk about the condition that existed before the Big Bang, let's say, before Srishti. The Sat was existent but was not available for any Vyavahara. We have to rely on the Shruti. Shruti says that the whole creation was Sat alone before it's, got created, so that we have to accept it as it is, because nobody can prove. Same like as I told you, before Big Bang, what was there? That's all, it's some inference by the scientist. No scientist was present to say that such and such thing was there alone. They cannot. Same way, because of certain data from the perception, etc., they have derived that kind of a presumption. Same way, we also rely on the Shruti. What was there before creation, we have to rely on Shruti. Nobody was there to observe, to be a witness of the creation. And therefore that Sat well was not available for any Vyavahara, it was beyond transaction. So if one wants to know how that condition would have been, when one can imagine that condition based on one's own experience, we can connect, because the way scientists also, what was there before Big Bang, then they will show you, because these observations are there, and therefore such and such condition would have been there. Such and such condition would be there before the creation. So same way our own experience also reveals that what the creation, before the whole thing came out, what kind of a condition would be there at that time, we can definitely tell from our own experience. We cannot tell it without the help of Shastra, but we can understand logically what have been there before the creation. And and what is that experience? Deep sleep state. That's a very beautiful state experience. Deep sleep state is a one in which the world and you both are existing in the form of existence, Sat alone, right? How can you say, Swamiji, that that whole world, when I go to sleep, the whole world and even this body, mind, sense complex and everything, or the very experiencer, resolves into this existence itself? How can you say that? Well, because from there, the Shastra says from that Sat alone everything has come. Entire creation has come from that Sat, and therefore entire creation being an effect, definitely at the time of resolution goes back to the cause only. Anyway, this is one thing. But deep sleep state proves that in deep sleep state, even the consciousness is not experienced as I am a conscious being. But I was there, that much I can understand very well. And therefore, definitely, like in a deep sleep state, consciousness exists in the form of an Sat. And very beautifully, Dakshinamurti Stotram, this reveals, Shankaracharya tells in Dakshinamurti Stotram, Rahu grasta divakarendu sadrusho maya samachhadanat sanmatra karanopasumharanatah yobhut sushuptah puman yaha sushuptah puman. The person who has gone to sleep, he remains sanmatra. Sanmatra means satmatra. He remains in the form of just existence. Why? Karana upasamharanatah. Upasamharanam means a resolution. Karanam means all the karanam, and including body, mind, sense complex, everything resolves at that time, and that person, the deep sleep, the person who has gone into deep sleep state, he remains in the form of sanmatra, in the form of just existence. That's how has been narrated in a Dakshinamurti Stotra. So, well, definitely in deep sleep state, well, if I am just in an existence state, I'm in existence form, and when I wake up, well, everything comes from that. Whole creation in form of experiencer and experience world, everything including time and space comes out. Same way, this whole creation, which is empirical world, also has come from the Sat alone. That's a same. This is a way we can equate with. Of course, on the basis of Shastra. Shastra says the whole creation was Sat alone before it got created. So we can understand with our experience of deep sleep state that it is possible, including time, space and everything, and the whole world. An experiencer also have come out of this at the time of waking, come out of this Sat. And in the deep sleep state, I was in the form of a Sat alone. So this is how we can equate with. We can equate in order to understand it. And once we wake up, well, definitely we can talk about the consciousness also during deep sleep state, etc. That I must have been a consciousness. That's how I experience even in ignorance and all these things, I can say. But definitely I went to the sleep and I only woke up. Therefore as a consciousness, the consciousness was existent during deep sleep state, I can very well understand. So in form of existence or a Sat also, I was there in a deep sleep state. Even if you can't appreciate, well, I was a conscious in a deep sleep state, but you were there, that much you can understand very well. And so from there, Sat alone, everything has come. And then what has come, the Upanishad says, Akasha, etc. came, and then Vayu, etc. Everything came. and what are the gunas, and existence also has been borrowed by these elements, by the properties of the elements. Everything has been narrated, which we will see tomorrow. Om Purnamadah Purnamidam Purnat Purnamudachyate Purnasya Purnamadaya Purnameva Vashishyate. Om Shanti Shanti Shanti. Hari Om Shri Gurubhyo Namaha. Hari Om.